Dinesh, in the Me Too era, can MLK Jr. still be a hero to the left if they're to have any credibility?
I would say, given these latest revelations, now it should be noted these revelations are based on FBI tapes, and it's been known for a while that the FBI was taping Martin Luther King, but the content of those tapes was secret. The historian David Garrow, who's, by the way, a progressive historian, very well respected, in fact, a devotee of the civil rights movement, who's the source for these new bombshell allegations, because they placed Martin Luther King's, not only his personal life, but his personal views, I think, in a very calamitous light. Calamitous, especially in view of the Me Too movement, which has put a sort of new spin on what is acceptable, particularly in public discourse. So I think this is kind of why these allegations, although they're all over the British press and their source is credible, they're getting no coverage in America. Not a single major media outlet has touched them. The progressive historians are all hiding under their desks because they realize that Martin Luther King is not just, people don't just celebrate him for his anti-segregation views or for his dream about us wanting to live in a country where we are judged by the content of our character. People treat King as a secular saint. Innumerable schools are named after King. And so think about it. How can you actually have a school upholding a role model when the actual conduct, I mean, this is not a matter of having foibles or falling short. This is behavior which, if true, goes way beyond that.
Well, Dinesh, I want to get your reaction to something that Rush Limbaugh said today on his radio show about Democrats' perception of MLK. Let's watch.
I think that they have already successfully remade, if you will, the image or message of Dr. King to the point that there's no reason to have to abandon it or him. They've already turned him and his memory into a message tailored for their modern day beliefs, and he was nowhere near what they have made him out to be. So there's no reason to cast him aside.
Yeah, Dinesh, do you agree with that? I mean, they can't really dispense with someone like MLK because that would, I mean, that's a body blow to a lot of what they represent today, correct?
Well, I'd go even further. If you think about it, the great black Americans of our history, I think of people like Frederick Douglass, the runaway slave, Ida B. Wells, who fought against lynching, Harriet Tubman, Booker T. Washington. All of these were Republicans. They were conservatives. They were celebrators of self-help and what Douglass called a self-made man. So the left hates them. The left doesn't want to teach them. And so the only guy that they've been able to push to the front is Martin Luther King. He's the only guy that they, in a sense, can cling to. So if they lose King, they've sort of lost their one claim to be a champion, if you will, of African-American rights. So I think that this is a very awkward situation for them. Of course, the Me Too movement also came from the left. So this is not a right-wing critique that they can dismiss. They've got to take it seriously. I think they're in denial, but ultimately the truth will come out. Yeah,
well, Dinesh, isn't it interesting that the media on the left are always about transparency and we want to know more and give us more. It's important that the public knows democracy dies in the darkness. But it's like crickets on this. And why aren't they clamoring for the tapes to be released earlier? I mean,
well, look at the extreme. Look at the extreme discretion that even you're exercising on the show. Now, if these allegations had been made about Reagan or about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, they'd be all over the newspapers. Look at the huge hubbub that came out when it was alleged, with somewhat questionable evidence, that Thomas Jefferson was definitively involved in a relationship with a female slave, Sally Hemings. It could have been a Jefferson relative. It's not obvious it was Jefferson, but this has besmirched Jefferson's character, and the left was all over it.
Yeah. All right, Dinesh, thank you so much.